Welcome to Winter IP 2021. This is a course overview of Nursing 4527, which is a 9.0. This is the Winter 21 term. These are the prerequisites, so all the courses that you've taken in your previous 4 years between York and Seneca and Georgian. And the co-requisite for this course is Nursing 4528. There are 3 course directors. Myself, Sandra Peniston, is the course director for Section M, Professor Irfan Aslam for Section N, and Professor Brenda Orazzetti for Section O. So for this part of clinical IP, it is the practicum experience. And so this course specifically focuses on the 432 practicum experience hours that you need to complete before the end of this semester. Students must successfully complete both 4527, which is this course, and 4528 in order to be recognized with a passing grade or credit in either course. 4527, as I said, is a 9.0 course, and 4528 is a 3.0 course. So the final term consists of Nursing 4527 and 4528. The aim of this student experience is to integrate your practice knowledge and theory. And so therefore these courses are presented and enacted concurrently throughout the next 12 weeks. So this course, 4527, provides the opportunity for a culminating intensive nursing practical experience, and nurses will integrate learning from all their nursing courses, which will be guided by a theory. So it's required that you choose a theory that you're going to apply to your practicum experience. This course will run over 12 weeks. But the timing of the practice experience may extend beyond the winter semester, and this is depending on the availability of clinical agencies due to COVID, whether there's another outbreak and your clinical placement is delayed for some reason. Teaching and learning in this course practicum may include the preceptor model or another model of direct supervision with clinical practice agency partners, so in hospital units and other community agencies, in collaboration with the School of Nursing faculty. Practicum hours may require supplementation via screen-based learning, such as vSim, via remote delivery, and that again is due to COVID and the availability of clinical agencies. The 432 hours will also include your course orientations as scheduled, your partner agency orientation as relevant, any post-conference hours with clinical faculty as relevant. So in the 432 hours, what can be included in there is the timing spent in orientation. These are the course student learning outcomes. So demonstrate accountability to the public by practicing in accordance with professional standards of nursing and the current entry to practice nursing competencies. Enhance health and healing in individuals, families, groups, and or community populations in a variety of traditional and non-traditional settings through synthesizing knowledge from nursing and other disciplines to guide your assessment, care and health promotion. Demonstrate praxis in incorporating multiple ways of knowing, evidence-informed care, and critical reflective practice in the humanization of healthcare. Exemplify personal and professional growth through application of skills for lifelong learning. Establish and maintain collaborative relationships with nursing colleagues, interprofessional team members, and clients and community. Demonstrate leadership for the advancement of the nursing professional areas of practice. Advocate for and support healthy organizational and public policy to promote health of individuals, families, groups, communities, and or global populations, and provide culturally sensitive nursing care that honors human dignity, diversity, and different ways of being. The CNO entry to practice competencies are listed here, and as you can see, all the CNO competencies will be strived for to meet in this course. The links to the NCLEX RN subcategories, again, it's all the RN categories and subcategories. All required readings will be on the eClass site. And technical requirements, it's suggested that you have access to a stable, high-speed internet connection, and you can do a speed test here. There are many useful links here to help with any of computer problems that you may have. The Student Guide to eClass, Student Guide to eLearning at York, the Zoom user guides, and as well, important information related to the NCLEX RN can be found on the CNO website. And then again, all the competencies that are required from the College of Nurses, information about RNAO membership, and best practice guidelines. So we do have a course website where we have combined both 4527 and 4528. And again, the eClass course management system will be used as an extension of this course outline. And so ways to get into eClass, you're all familiar with getting into eClass. So log on to eClass and find 4527, 4528. On eClass will be a variety of interactive tools, ways to facilitate communication between the CD, CCD, and student as well. Please note that all course activities for 4527 in its concurrent course, 4528, will occur on the York eClass website, as well as any practicum evaluation documents will be submitted to the CD and CCD via eClass. All required course documents can be downloaded from the course website, including assignments, learning plans, clinical log hours, and an Excel spreadsheet for clinical hours log and practicum evaluations. And the CD is able to track all activities through the eClass reports. Students will work in direct supervision with a preceptor. And so the students' activities, this allows for the students' activities to be provided in a safe physical and psychosocial environment. And that will be supported through direct supervision. And direct supervision occurs with a registered nurse preceptor. This semester, the model of direct supervision may change to include a York faculty. And so herein, afterwards, the term preceptor is utilized to intend any method of direct supervision. The student preceptor and CCD is a triad relationship. And so the relationship is an integral part to the student's progress and safety. Students will find initial agency contact information on HSPNet, and they will also be sent an email with information regarding your practicum experience. And so upon initial contact with your preceptor, because you will be given information about your preceptor, you need to obtain the preceptor's preferred method of contact and input the information into the accountability report number 1, which you will find on eClass, and you will upload that to eClass. At this time, the student must also provide their preceptor with the preceptor handbook and the preceptor letter that includes CCD and CD contact information. Again, this is found on eClass. Now, practicum during or post-COVID-19. So it's important to note that for those students who have been exposed or who are working part-time in an at-risk environment during the pandemic, clinical placement agencies may ask you for a 2-week self-isolation period prior to entering that clinical placement. As well, students may not be able to work or continue to work anywhere while attending clinical practice placements. Students must be prepared to adhere to these expectations while in the course. And these are expectations not put forth by the MPCO, but put forth by your practicum agency. And so these will be outlined in the letter that is sent to you or emailed to you. Communication is extremely important, and so timely, appropriate, and thorough communication with the CCD and preceptor are essential components of the triad relationship, professional practice, and teamwork. CCDs and preceptors are available to guide students with clinical practice issues, interpreting protocols, and communicating with other members of the healthcare team. They are valuable resources for advice and can answer students' practicum-related questions. Communication can be conducted via email, phone, or in person, depending on the COVID-19 restrictions. A preferred method will be established collaboratively by the CCD, the preceptor, and the student. In case of incidents or errors, immediate communication with the CCD by phone as a first means and or by email is mandatory and the responsibility of the student. Absence or unprofessional communication will be discussed and a progression plan may be initiated. Continued absence or unprofessional communication is not meeting course outcomes 1, 4, and 5. Your clinical practicum hours and expectations. So students are expected to work the same shifts, both date and time, as the assigned preceptor. If there is a potential for non-completion of hours, a secondary preceptor may be needed. Students in this situation must contact their CCD as soon as a concern regarding hour completion is recognized to discuss these options. If the primary preceptor is off sick or otherwise unavailable, the student may be paired with a designated secondary RM preceptor working in the same unit. This decision must be made in consultation and at the discretion of the agency for that particular shift. All changes, arrangements must be communicated to your CCD as soon as possible. If the CCD is not informed of the change, the shift will not count towards the clinical hours. So agencies that you'll be working with, you may be working 12-hour shifts and you would count those as 12 hours. An agency 8-hour shift is counted as 8 hours. An agency 8-hour shift, it varies per organization, but a maximum of 8 hours for agency orientation may be allocated. You're not allowed to do any overtime. And the hours per week is a maximum of 80 hours per 2 weeks. So back up to this one right here. This is the agency 8-hour shift for orientation. And that's how much you can put on your clinical time log, would be 8 hours for orientation. The word orientation was missing there. So you're not allowed to do any more than 5 8-hour shifts or 4 12-hour shifts per week. It's important to note that scheduling of clinical practice is not required during statutory holidays, and so please consult with your CCD for questions about coverage during statutory holidays and reading week, whether the CCD is going to be available. All shifts must be documented on the time log document and signed by the preceptor, and it's recommended that you do it at minimally on a weekly basis. The time log is found on eClass. The last day for clinical practice for completion can be a night shift, and that date will be determined when you find out your preceptor's schedule and when you start accumulating and looking at how you're going to meet the 432 hours. Documentation. Students must sign the client and agency documents legibly, indicating full name and your nursing student status. Also in consultation with a given agency and a CCD, this policy may be negotiable. For example, if there were any concerns for the student's safety, you may not be documenting your full name. Course Preceptor Handbook. This handbook must be given to the preceptor when you meet the preceptor for the first time. It also can be emailed to your preceptor. As soon as you find out who that preceptor is, you can email this to the preceptor. If they want a hard copy, you can print it off for them. So let's look at the evaluation and evidences of learning. So prior to January the 11th, you need to make sure your clinical preparedness permit is up to date and ready to go. This is mandatory. On January the 11th, you would do a medication calculation test. You require 100% to pass. If you do not pass, you will be involved in remediation until you receive 100% on this test. January 11th will also be the course orientation through Zoom. By the end of week 2, your learning plan should be complete and ready to be reviewed with your CCD and your preceptor. This is a pass-fail. The accountability documents you will find on eClass. There's 3 accountability documents. These need to be completed at certain points throughout the clinical practice. You will be submitting a midterm and final evaluations. The time log document will be submitted at midterm and at final evaluations, and you need to complete 432 hours. There's 2 clinical evaluations. One will be done at midterm, one will be done at final. Again, you need a pass. They would be marked as a pass or a fail. And then you need to keep a portfolio, and on eClass it outlines what's required in this portfolio. It's basically all this documentation that's required for 4527. Again, all items for this course are a pass-fail and are considered cumulatively for the pass-fail credit in 4527. Further down on this page is a description of the course evaluation evidences of learning. So the clinical preparedness permit and the medication calculation test are included on this page. I've already talked about both of these. The course orientation by Zoom is mandatory. It will be done on January the 11th. You are required to watch the 2 asynchronous recordings of 4527, which is this one, and 4528. You need to review these 2 course outlines before the mandatory synchronous question and answer session, which will take place at 1 o'clock on January the 11th via Zoom, and the link is found on eClass. Your learning plan. You will find the learning plan template at the end of this course outline. It is Appendix A and Part A. So at the end of this course outline, you will see Appendix A, which is the practicum evaluation tool. Part A of Appendix A is where you will find the learning plan template. As I said before, the learning plan template should be completed within the first 2 weeks of the practicum. And it's going to look at achieving certain goals by midterm and final evaluation. The learning plan includes 3 learning goals, and it's based on the College of Nurses competency framework, the clinical setting, and links to the associated course outcomes found on page 2. You are required to complete 3 accountability documents. The first one is the student and preceptor information. Number 2 is that you've completed the learning plan and you've had your first CCD meeting. And accountability document 3 is the final evaluation and the CCD meeting. The time log document is found on eClass. It is it's an Excel spreadsheet that will automatically accumulate your hours, and you need to complete 432 hours, and they need to be signed off at a minimum every week with your preceptor. The clinical evaluations are also found in Appendix A, but this is Part B of Appendix A. And so you will see that there's midterm evaluations there's midterm evaluation, which is due week 6. You will see the final clinical evaluation, which is due week 12. You will need to add your CD and your CCD names to the documents, and when requested by your CCD, submit them to the relevant sections of M, N, and O. The practicum evaluation, both midterm and final, must be submitted at least 3 days ahead of the scheduled meeting with the CCD and preceptor so that they have time to complete their sections in preparation for the discussion. And then lastly, the student portfolio is that students are expected to maintain a portfolio throughout the term that showcases their work and achievements. Students should follow the portfolio evaluation criteria, which you will find on eClass. The portfolio is reviewed at each site visit and must be shared with the preceptor as requested. Again, for this course, you will receive either a credit or a no credit. The following pages are information on withdrawing from the course. The final time to withdraw without receiving a grade in this course is March 12, 2021. But this may actually be different because it's a practical learning experience. So you would need to speak to your CD about withdrawal. Involuntary withdrawal is defined as failure in a practicum course prior to the completion of the required practicum hours component and/or prior to the end of the term. And so a student may be required to withdraw involuntarily from a course with a practicum component if the student fails to meet the requirements of the course's practicum component and/or the practicum progression plan, either through unsatisfactory attendance and/or participation in practicum settings or through unprofessional and/or unsafe behavior in fulfilling course requirements. And you can go to this document to look at involuntary withdrawal while in a practicum course. Clinical course component information can be found here. So all students must review the College of Nurses of Ontario requirements of requisite skills and abilities for registered nurses practice. The grading and assignment submission for this course, 4527, it's all pass-fail. And so, but the lateness penalty will still come into play, but again, it's a pass-fail. As with all practicum courses, there is a professional conduct and course processes. So make sure that you're checking eClass on a regular basis, check your email account regularly. Prior to commencing the course, you're responsible for reading and reviewing what is required in the undergraduate supplement calendar. You need to maintain integrity, so ensuring you understand or have completed the Sparks Academic Integrity module. You're familiar with Senate policies on academic honesty and plagiarism. Important course information for students. These are all the same documents that are provided for all students in the School of Nursing. And lastly, religious observance accommodation is here, and this is a copyrighted course outline that is designed for the use of Nursing 4527 course. So this is Appendix A, as I discussed before. So Appendix A is the practicum evaluation tool for 4527. It's composed of three main parts. Part A is the learning plan framework. Part B is the practicum evaluation part. And then Part C is the summary of performance. This is Part A. Part A is your learning plan. You're responsible for 3 learning goals that are linked to the course outcomes and also related to the CNO entry to practice competencies, activities of where you're going to achieve these goals. Some of these you will try, parts of these goals you will try and achieve by midterm, and then the final goal will be met at the final evaluation. The resources and supports that you need, your evaluation criteria, how are you going to know that you've met this specific learning goal, and then your target date. Part B is your practicum evaluation. As you will see, there are 2 components for this practicum evaluation. There's the midterm evaluation, which is either a pass or a fail, and then the final evaluation, which is either a pass or a fail. I just realized it says summer here. I'll change that. So it's winter 2021. You need to put your student name, your preceptor, your CCD, and the agency that you're at. And these focus on the course learning outcomes and the relevant CNO entry to practice competencies. And so you need to meet all these course outcomes and the related CNO entry to practice competencies. So this is for course learning outcome number 1, number 2, course outcome 3 and 4, course outcome 5 and 6, and course outcome 7 and 8. That is your practicum evaluation for midterm and final evaluation. And then as well, part C here is the practicum evaluation summary of your strengths and weaknesses, areas of development for midterm and final evaluation. Your student general concerns, preceptor general comments, and the CCD general comments. You will sign this off, and it will be forwarded to myself, the course director, to do a final sign off that you have met the requirements for 4527. This just gives some information of what a pass and a fail includes. So that is the end of the overview for 4527. If you have any questions, please write them down and we can discuss them at the mandatory question and answer Zoom meeting on January the 11th at 1 o'clock. See you then.